Yes, yes, okay. Here we go. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Bitcoin. You're coming lower. You know, some of you might be a little bit worried that Bitcoin is going lower, but for those of you that know we are in a bull market, this actually represents a beautiful opportunity. So we're going to kind of go over that sentiment today. For those of you that are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. We'll just get that little personal shield right out the get-go. And also, we're going to be going over what's known as Wyckoff accumulation and trading ranges. This is something that we study here frequently. It is of a main point, I think one of the most important ways to kind of get a good grasp on the market. So I'm going to dive in and we're going to take two first starts of conjecture at Bitcoin's price. And then we're going to go over some of the educational aspect behind that. So if you guys are viewing everything and everything's going smoothly, please give us the thumbs up. That way we know the stream is rolling smoothly. So I'm going to jump over here. We're going to go BTC share, switch. And here's Bitcoin open on the 4-hour chart. More specifically, if we look at the 1 hour, yesterday, if you joined us on last night's live stream, we were going over a rounded top here. I made the mistake of thinking that the UTAD test would go through the top, and then we'll look at this here. So this is a schematic of distribution. Both of these are from our private group's distribution patterns. For those of you that are in the private group, these are always, you can find in your A, welcome emails, or B, in the member resource area, or in the educational sector of the Discord channel. But the distribution here, see you on the right-hand side, the area of phase C, this one here, is actually not characterized by a break above the trading range. And again, this is kind of what we saw here. This was, I think, a very beautiful schematic of distribution. We sent this out on Twitter last night when we are still at around 37,000. A big part of the question is how low do we go? We are in a bull market, so the next phase that comes is actually one of the most powerful and one of the most important aspects, which is the backup phase. So again, for those of you that are studying, I don't know why it keeps flipping my screen back here. What are you doing, computer? Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin on a much larger time frame. And then what we want to do is make some conjecture. So again, for those of you that are new to studying this stuff, what we always want to look for is these primary SOSs, which we saw with Bitcoin, followed by a backup phase. So a big part of the question is how low does the backup phase go? I do suspect we'll probably reach our first regression line, which is somewhere between 24 and maybe even $20,000. This is also, you can find another range of motion where this is important. So we'll open up a bit of a cleaner chart here. We'll go to the weekly. We will open up our 3 moving averages. I've said this many times that a healthy bull market usually returns somewhere close to 21-week moving average. So currently that would put us between $17,000 and $24,000. This would be the area that I'm looking for a reaccumulation range. Now, because we are in a very powerful bull market, I actually want to make a second conjecture, which may not bring us as low as the 21 moving average. And this is based off something that we will go over right now. So we'll get rid of the 3 moving averages here, clean up the chart a little bit. Again, we see a rounded distributed top, and we had seen this in Bitcoin previously when we were back at $12,000. We saw actually the very similar rounded top, which is nice. Big money is interested here. And we're going to go over the Wyckoff reaccumulation. So all of the private members, this will be in your email inbox this afternoon. But this schematic 4, this one here specifically that you can see on the frame, this is what we might see as well. So here we could imagine that this was the rounded top and we come down and form a new reaccumulation range. The backup phase for Bitcoin is like, this is a godsend for anyone that's a trader. So we're going to be looking very closely for the new trading range that forms. So we'll exit this and then we'll look at what that would look like. So again, we may see the rounded top and then with another new trading range that starts to form something like this. This would be a more bullish, like we may not go as low as the 24,000, but it would do something like this before breaking out even higher. But again, these backup phases usually try to kick as much retail traders out of the market as possible. For those of you that were on the live stream last night, we could tell by the comments that there are a lot of new people here like, oh my God, I'm down $50. What do I do? That's a trader. Effectively, be patient, watch, learn, educate yourself, and think about decades and executing campaigns of accumulation without thinking on a monthly basis based off your budget. So Now that we've seen our first distribution, which is fantastic, our first real breakdown of around 20%, not a huge breakdown, we are right now stubbing up against the previous POC. But on the 4-hour, you can see as we zoom out that really the area of most buying and selling in this range is actually back down between 19,000 and 23,000. So we could do a stair-step fashion down here and then build a much larger reaccumulation range between 19 and 24,000. This would be ultimately, I think, my favorite of the two that we've just gone over. So we're looking again at a potential reaccumulation, maybe even as high as $30,000, which would signal a pretty bullish trend, or more importantly, again, down here near $20,000. So a lot of people I see on Twitter like, oh my God, who is selling Bitcoin up at $20,000 or up at $40,000? Well, institutions, people that know how to play the game, obviously. And it's good to remember that they have hundreds of billions of dollars. We went over this yesterday. You should study Jim Simmons and the Renaissance Fund. These people have hundreds of billions of dollars and they don't care about having more Bitcoin. They use US dollar as their alpha. So they're not really concerned about selling Bitcoin at 40 grand. Not only that, they'll go short too. They will sell Bitcoin they don't even have in situations like that once they see the market go kind of depressive. So we're seeing our first little bit of a rebound. Again, what you want to keep an eye out is, do we close above that and try to come higher? Like, do we form, again, a new trading range potentially here, very similar to this type of reaccumulation schematic? Or do we do something very similar to what Ethereum did after its primary breakout, which has come back all the way almost to the top of the trading range, which would represent a pullback almost again to around $19,000 to $20,000. That to me, again, is still the most, like the solution I would be most excited about is, again, a new trading range between $23,000 and $19,000 based off our previous POC lines, where you do something like this and then finally blow out. Those of you that are new and happen to buy at the very top, what I want to suggest is being patient. Because that's the best way to execute. I bought a little bit of Ethereum and Bitcoin up at that high because it was that time of the month. I try to practice the things that I'm sharing with you guys, which means that even though the price is up, I just execute small amounts of accumulation. Although generally I've been trying to accumulate more of the venture capital style things like Band, Aave, Dot, Avalanche, etc. Because there's just a lot more room for volatility, and I need a very small portfolio position in each of those for them to be winners in the long term. So ultimately, what we want to look for is tight trading ranges like this, swinging into the market again. I do suspect that's when we're going to have big blowout moments. It's not just leverage longs that are sending us down here. These are big institutional sells. When you see big volume markers like this come in, this is institutions. This is not a person playing with leverage at $10 million. No. This is institutional buying and selling. That's the only way you see that. And here you can see how little retail was kind of keeping us up at the top here. This is why I think study is so important, and why having an investor first mentality can be such a powerful idea, because it allows you to think instead of these short-term time frames of like, oh my God, I need to make like a few grand or something. It's a horrible investor mentality. You should continue to work at whatever job and you should accumulate assets that you're interested in, whether it's Bitcoin, Tesla, Zoom, I don't know, a mushroom company that makes clothing or sells psychedelic MDMA, whatever interests you. That's like the best way to go. So this is a beautiful opportunity because, again, if we look at our Bitcoin chart on these much larger time frames, it's very clear to see that we hit our primary area of regression based off the previous high, like a champion right there. Again, this also represents the 4236 of our Fibonacci retracement based off of our the height of our spring to the bottom of our spring to the height of our trading range. So this was a pretty obvious top, I think, especially after we broke down to the trading range. I sent out tweets. I didn't get out a video fast enough, but I was laying in the jacuzzi, so my bad for enjoying life. But again, this is why you should always be studying and educating yourself, and why the investor first mentality, it pays off, because then you don't get emotional during this process. So again, what I would like to see is a kind of a primary return to the previous regression lines of between the 1618 and the 2618, so somewhere around here. This to me, I think, is where the big players and institutions will put us into. They'll try to get rid of the final retail investors who bought at 40 grand and get scared and like, oh my God, I'm down. What would you be down here? You're down 40%, right? So you say you're like a new retail investor. You bought at 40 grand. You put 10 grand in because you're impatient and you don't know how to execute monthly or quarterly because you just make up your own rules because you don't listen to anyone else who has more experience than you. That's why, look, join the private bear group, arcanebear.com/private, because if you put skin in the game, you're more actually likely to listen to you. Otherwise, you're going to pay very expensive lessons. So, again, people are like, oh, should I sell? What should I do? I'm losing money. You might have to go through a 40% drawdown here before we see a nice reaccumulation box. But nonetheless, do know that in the long term, I think Bitcoin is going to be millions of dollars in the not so far distant future. So if you keep that investor mentality, it pays off really well. I'm going to take a look at a few of your guys' questions. And also, because we hired a video editor this month, and I want to double down on using this sweet content, this episode is brought to you by Blockfi. So let's go ahead and roll our Blockfi ad because that's sweet. I want to give a big shout out to Blockfi for sponsoring today's episode, helping us bring you guys all the up-to-date content that we do. Blockfi provides their customers a high-yielding interest rate on all your favorite cryptos. Plus, if you sign up in the links below, you can get up to $250 in Bitcoin added when you fund your account today. So from Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and USDC stablecoins, this is a fantastic way to continue to grow your financial freedom. With up to 8.6% APY that starts earning instantly and compounds monthly. Simply deposit your crypto on their secure platform and you're ready to go. Easy to use with top-notch security. Not only that, Blockfi is now partnered with Visa, so you can join a Bitcoin rewards card. So every time you spend, you get rewarded in Bitcoin. Another great way to continue to grow on your financial goals. Invest. Great idea. They also offer crypto loans, so instead of spending the precious Bitcoin, set up your Bitcoin as collateral and get instant USDC loans. So go to the links below, sign up today at the description at www.arcanebear.com/Blockfi. And not only that, guys, because of this partnership between Blockfi and Arcane Bear, we give part of our marketing budgets every month to Kiva, which is a nonprofit organization that helps the underbanked and the underserved around the world by providing no APY loans to rural entrepreneurs that maybe are in Uganda or Rwanda that would never be able to get a loan before. So not only are you going to earn more Bitcoin in your interest rate with Blockfi, you also help fund entrepreneurs around the world. So sign up for Blockfi in the link.com/Blockfi or blockfi.com/Arcane Bear. Thank you. Okay, great. Thanks for going through that process with our partner Blockfi there. I love that. Thanks to Noah for helping create that ad as well. I think it looks sweet. I appreciate it. We're going to dive in. We're going to take a look at a few of your guys' questions, and we're going to make another fairly long live stream before I go out for breakfast this morning. It is a beautiful day here in the Costa Rican jungle, and I'm looking forward to getting outside. But I wanted to go over this because, again, because I know there are so many new investors, it's probably scaring them. Renee Montenegro is so funny. I love that you've been right once out of the hundreds of times you've posted, whereas until yesterday when we had confirmation that we were going to go lower. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So let's take a look at some of your guys' thoughts and questions that are taking place right now. What happened to being a hippie and not really caring? I don't know what you're talking about. Still a hippie, kind of, right? I don't have long hair anymore, I guess. That you could like cut my hair. Corporate. Yeah, okay. That's hilarious. It's actually much easier to keep this professional look. In case you don't know, I look fantastic in the suit, ladies and gentlemen, and the women like it as well. So I feel sorry for you there, D. Harris. You probably have a difficult time with the opposite gender talking like that. Okay, let's see a few more of your guys' thoughts and questions, and we'll dive back into the charts here, make a little bit more conjecture. A 20% correction is healthy. Leverage longs wiped out. Matthew Dolan, again, for any of you that are new here, which a lot of people, it's important to remember that some of the big players have hundreds of millions of dollars, or hundreds of billions of dollars. Let me rephrase that. Hundreds of billions of dollars, some of the big players. People like Renaissance and the Medallion Fund that are currently playing in this market. When they go short, they don't get wiped out. I can guarantee you that they're significantly better at trading than you can ever imagine. You can't even imagine how good they are at trading. So I think it's important to understand that those bigger players are here. That way, when you see changes like this in the market, it doesn't scare you. They're testing the supply. So currently we're sitting on like the 3.618 of the market cycle, but we just completed our SOS. So generally SOSs retrace quite a bit. Now we're just going to be looking for our first trading range. How low do we go? I don't really give a fuck. I really don't care, because once the trading range starts to form, then we'll know how low we're going. That's the only important part. The price is totally unimportant in terms of how low we go. So if someone's trying to tell you we're not going below this price or that, they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. They're probably not good traders or good investors. They just like to scream from the rooftops with very real justification for the reason why they're screaming. So again, what we want to do is look for the formation of a new trading range. That's why we study these things consistently, is because it makes a huge difference in the way the markets move. So Alex Klizmaska says, do you think the support in the hourly chart is solid? Again, unimportant. What you want to look for is a horizontal trading range that remains stable. Until I see that, we're going lower. How low? I think 23,000 to 19,000 is where the primary support is at the 1618. And that's where the POC line is also offering the majority of its sentiment right now too. So I'm going to be really waiting for that. And then once that happens, these could be plays of a lifetime. Bitcoin's going to hundreds of thousands of dollars here. So this is kind of like the last hurrah potential to find your positions and play in this ecosystem. So I definitely think that aiming for a new trading, the most intelligent way to look at your trading analysis. So for those of you that are new to the channel, what we do is we study something called the Wyckoff trading ranges. So we'll go over that a little bit actually right now, because I think it's a prime opportunity. So yesterday, what we were doing is we were looking at the schematics of distribution, because they represent a breakdown in price. As you can see, schematic distribution number 2 and the rounded top is pretty much what we saw to a T. It was a beautiful representation of this distributive top here. Again, we went over it last night as well at around 37,000 when we couldn't close back above the trading range. And these are really key moments, guys. When you can't get above the trading range, you're coming down. And look how quickly the price depressed 13%. Now, again, the backup phase, because of the POC line down here, at least at the top of it at 23,000, that's my first guess. What we'll likely see is something like a redistribution where it does this and then comes back down once more lower, shake out the final retail hands and get as much cheap Bitcoin from the big players as possible. Remember, they can short hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and not care. So for them, it's not a big deal if the price drops 40%, because it just means a better buying opportunity for them. And it also represents a potential for you as well, now that you know these things. So these horizontal trading ranges, these schematics of distribution are important, but really what we're going to be looking for is a schematic of reaccumulation. So this is the private newsletter that will go out today. I'll just show you guys. These different areas of reaccumulation are important. So we'll be studying this as well as redistribution. We'll try to get out probably February 1st. January is very slow. I had to do all this fingerprinting and lawyers and birth certificates and translations for paperwork. I hate governments so much. They're just such a burden for everyone. But anyways, not really part of the point here. But this study of the horizontal trading range is going to become of the utmost importance. So really, again, I think 23 to 19,000 is where we'll see. We'll probably get a rising gradient bottom too as well. So we'll keep an eye. This is going to be a fantastic place to go in with maybe our final kind of leverage long positions. And you should never play when you see this much volatility with leverage either. Like when you have trading ranges that start to become more volatile as you go up, like see how tight, this is a great opportunity to show that we were kind of near a top based off just a trading range. If you measure the spread on the previous trading range is 7%, only 5%, Jesus Christ. And then around 12 to 13% here. Once we started to go up higher, the volatility started to get bigger because big institutions were selling. So you started to see these drawdowns. This is really important, especially if we start to see something like this. It could be really easily seen that this is a blow off top as well. If you see another schematic of distribution here, which would, again, it would look something like this. People often will call this a head and shoulders. I think it's a hypodermic top if you were to see it. So these trading ranges can actually form into one another as well. So it's important to keep your study up, because now you have a rounded top that's starting to fall into another trading range. And then you have people like on the chat already, like, it won't go below 30 grand. It's probably will then, just because they said that. And again, I guess 23 to 19,000 is our primary area of support. And seeing as we have so much volatility in that $30,000 area, it's very unlikely that we'll stay here, and a much higher probability that we go to 19,000 and accumulate like this, with a trading range of around 10 to 20%. So that's my current conjecture and thesis. It also aligns us into March pretty well, that we continue to fall, we reaccumulate probably until March, and then we see the total transition back into a bull market, which is very, very exciting. So let's take a look at a few more of your guys' thoughts and questions. Arcane Bear, good morning from Japan. Nice to see you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope all is well over in the beautiful country that you live in. I would love to visit one day. Let's see. The dollar is going up a little right now. Very interesting. I will maybe can take a look at the general markets. It is Monday morning. It is a correction, so BTC will get an all-time high or getting dumped again. We're in a bull market, so whatever we're going to see is going to be a reaccumulation before we continue the bullish sentiment. Right now, what we're seeing is institutional investors try to shake out the finality of retail, and then go from there. Someone says, can I join the Arcane Bear Club? Yep, all the links are down below, arcanebear.com/private. Again, we are a private mastermind of over 500 people that are always working, learning, and growing together. And we've got I think we have a private webinar today too, don't we? Hopefully I got to make sure that at 11. Okay, good. We have another hour or two. So for all of you that are in the private group, we have a private webinar today to go over any of your guys' thoughts and questions during your learning process. But no refund or no question asked refund guarantee if you sign up and you're not happy. We've only had like 5 people ever ask for a refund out of hundreds. So I feel that we're probably doing a good job. I'm really grateful for that and all the great feedback that you guys give. People like Zheka Popov don't know what they're talking about again. You didn't miss the biggest dip ever. It's probably not done. Got Hex? No. I was supposed to line something up with Richard Hart today, but today's just too busy. I'm going to have to try to line something up else again. Less low liquidity ideas. Instagram link is broken. Oh, thank you for that. You know, you're not the first person to say that, and I totally missed fixing it. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to edit those. Thank you for updating here. Oh yeah, it's Arcane Bear, not the Arcane Bear. Silly Tiho. Okay. There you go. The Instagram links are just /Arcane Bear. So they're updated. I don't know why you'd want to follow me on Instagram. I post pictures of like girls' booties beside charts and stuff. Kind of a gregarious poster, I guess. Or what do you call that? Yeah, gregarious? I don't know. Maybe that's not the right one. Good content. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see where we're at here. Everything's rolling smoothly. Fantastic. Guys, give us a thumbs up if you like this content. Please hit the subscribe and the little notification bell. We will be going live frequently because we are in a bull market, and this stuff is very exciting. When to buy Bitcoin? My best estimate is that you buy on a specific day every month or every quarter. That's the best time to buy, or like 10 years ago, you know, and not think about it. Should I keep or trade my Bitcoin? Again, I'll stand by the same sentiment. If you're new here and you're a retail investor, just find a particular month and budget out your month so that you know how much money you want to be investing, and do that for the rest of your life. And that's really it. It's a very simple answer. I know it doesn't, you're probably going to come up with all these convoluted ways to make that more difficult than it has to be, but really that's all you have to do. So don't make it more difficult on yourself than it has to be. This is actually a pretty simple game. Let's see. Will ETH follow the Bitcoin drop? Yes, it looks like Ethereum is following a distribution, although Ethereum is much further ahead than Bitcoin in terms of its S. So the next time Ethereum goes up, it could be much more parabolic than Bitcoin. So we might see Ethereum's move upwards alongside Bitcoin be equally as dramatic. So maybe let's not say more, but let's say equally as dramatic. ETH is already falling. So its primary area of reaccumulation was between $700 to $900. Yeah, between $700 to $900. Is your private group suitable for beginners? Yes, because we are a mastermind group, there's all variations of people that have hundreds of millions of dollars and that have thousands of dollars in the group. I've been on the phone with some of you, so I know that there's a large, quite a large gap and variation between the different types of investors that are part of our group. So that's really fun. But yes, it does. One of the fun things about a mastermind group is, especially with the Arcane Bear, because we're constantly focusing on unique and interesting ideas, and the group is full of these people. The beginner needs to keep showing up. Like, that's what the beginner does wrong. They buy at $40,000, they sell, and then they never show back up again. So one of the fun things about the group is it's a skin in the game group full of people that are surrounded in the learning process, that are supportive of one another. So if I'm not there, frigging the amazing Glasswalker or Jerry Bear Wanderer will help answer your question, or any number one of our great admin Kodiak members, like Lindley, etc. So no matter what skill level at, think long term and think about joining a group of people that help keep you accountable and keep you showing up. I think that's the most important part, is to continue to show up. So the group and the mastermind is extremely valuable because it helps keep you accountable and gets you to keep showing back up. And then you also listen to things when I say, well, first off, none of this is financial advice, but when I say something like buy monthly and execute on a quarterly basis based off your budget, you're more likely to do it if you're paying someone to tell you that than if you just listen to me on YouTube and then you go, oh no, I'm going to buy and sell and listen to some other hype YouTuber to some degree. Which, I mean, and I'm not picking on anyone. It's an extremely exciting thing when you're making a bunch of money. So the hype is real. And also, guys, give us the thumbs up. Go ahead and do that. It makes a difference for the channel. We're still growing and sharing this content, so I really appreciate it. Okay, so finally, we'll just go over Ethereum. I do want to go out for breakfast here, and it's a beautiful day in the jungle. Hey, just so you guys know, let's actually take a look at the jungle, just for fun. This is what it looks like out in Costa Rica right now. Boom. There you go. Look at that beautiful jungle out there. Isn't she sexy? Anyways, besides the point, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to show you what the jungle looks like so you know why we're going to cut this live stream short to some degree, so I can go out into the world and do my thing. But nonetheless, we'll go back, we'll take a look at Ethereum, and then we'll kind of use that to finalize today's episode. So we'll move the microphone away so it's not too hot, hopefully not peeking out on anyone's earphones. And we're going to take a look at Ethereum, and I'm going to load that up before I switch the screens over. So, boom. So Ethereum, you can see here, very similar chart to what we had drawn with Bitcoin, almost identical. The only difference here is that Ethereum had actually created its primary breakout here at around 160%, had a very slim retracement. Bitcoin might do the same. Again, like I said, what we're going to want to do is look for horizontal trading ranges start to form. That's going to be a clear indicator of where the bottom is, and nothing else. And again, you want to make sure that we could see a redistribution pattern here where it does this range and comes down once more before making like an actual reaccumulation. So we're going to want to keep our eyes on these two potentials here. It's extremely important. We are in a very bullish market, so we could form another reaccumulation pattern here, but I do suspect 23 to 19,000 is where we'll go, because the SOS has been so dramatic. So with Ethereum, again, here's a primary SOS. That we've seen. I mean, we've seen 1, 2, 3 of them so far. SOS, LPS, SOS, LPS, SOS, and now we're looking for a final LPS. Due to where we are, somewhere like around 809 and maybe even 900 here is where we would see a reaccumulation with a spring probably before a breakout. We are in the early stages of a bull market still. But as you can see, Bitcoin down at $32,800. We're likely going to continue that distribution phase for a little while longer. March, we had gone over that springtime endeavor as a few times before, so I think it's important to keep that in mind. March is important. So is September. Every year, March and September are important times of the calendar. I don't know why. Let's call it human psyche or like human nature. So again, you know, ultimately, I think Ethereum could go, well, in this bull market, easily we're going to $2,800, maybe as high as $6,000 to $10,000. But we're just getting warmed up. This is just the big boys playing, trying to push out the retail investors. If you're new, again, if you are a retail investor, don't get scared, show up and be consistent, because it's over time that these things are rewarding. Ultimately, the average investor will prove their inability. So I love this quote by Jesse Livermore. It's part of this month's update as well. It says, here we go, people who look for easy money invariably pay for the privilege of proving conclusively that it cannot be found on this earth. So I'll repeat that again. People who look for easy money invariably pay for the privilege of proving conclusively that it cannot be found on this earth. So keep that in mind when you're trading and investing. It's a slow game, and it's designed to push you out of the market. So that's why we keep showing up, and we keep keeping this calm demeanor, and we keep trying to help educate not just ourselves but others about how this game kind of works. So again, Ethereum's LPS range here, our previous areas of support were around $800 to $900. Let's see, we'll open the VPVR back up. I think our primary areas of support are, that's not my indicators. Here we go, public profile, volume profile, visible range. There we go. We're going to go up to the top of the settings. We're going to edit this because I want to show you guys, and I don't know why it didn't save, but we usually go with 111 because I like that number. Why not? And then we change the color style, volume up to this nice kind of green blue, volume down to this kind of nice pink, volume up to the green area, volume down to the pink. And I also like my POC line to be pink. Okay, there we go. That should fix everything. Put it back in our bear colors. Perfect. And also hopefully a little bit of a quick tutorial there for you guys that didn't know that you could do that. So here, as we start to get closer into the time frames, what I want to do is recognize the POC line. Yeah, wow, most of it's still down at 380. We could come as low as $700, but I think this area here is more specifically our primary regression line. And that's where I think we're going to hit to Bitcoin as well, the primary regression previous automatic rally. And as you can see, the Bitcoin chart has pretty much the exact same focus on it, which is that we would come down to our primary regression line between 24 and 19 and 24,000. This line here, something like this. So again, looking for reaccumulations on both Bitcoin and Ethereum near the primary automatic rally regression lines. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys today. I'm going out for breakfast. For those of you in the private group, you're going to receive that reaccumulation PDF today. The private newsletter will be out hopefully tomorrow. I got to check spelling and do all the finalized publication stuff. We're going to get a few PDFs out this month. Again, it was just a kind of a busy, awkward month. So I apologize for that. Governments, blame the governments, blame governments, blame governments. Anyways, this is Tio with the Arcane Bear. I really am grateful for your guys' support. Hopefully you're enjoying this bull market. Give us a thumbs up if you like this channel. Wait, how long have we been rolling for? Let's see. Okay, we've only been doing like 40 minutes. We can do another 15 or 20 minutes of questions here. We'll do another 15 or 20 minutes of questions. ETH will outperform Bitcoin on this run. Ethereum has a lot of unknown potential value here. So I'm not going to say whether it will outpace it or not, but I definitely think it's more interesting. So I'm more interested in Ethereum than I am Bitcoin just because of what it can do. I'm not a maximalist. I love technology that's innovative, period. Especially like Vitalik Buterin for talking about tragedy of the commons, quadratic funding. It's right up my alley for what this sector originally enticed me around, which was helping the underbanked and the underserved. So Calvin Z says, Arcane Bear, could the volatility indicator be used to determine bottoms? No, I don't do that. I just look at trading ranges. That's all we do. It's the most seen ever. I try to ignore momentum indicators because they can be very deceiving. So there's that. We are heading to a bear market. Not yet, not even close. We just started the bull market, so no, we're not heading to a 2-year. When we head to a 2-year bear market, we'll probably be at like $100,000 to $80,000 of reaccumulation for Bitcoin's price. So yeah, not a 2-year bear market, not even close. We just started the bull market. Would you buy Bitcoin at $33,000 right now? Look, guys, again, for the new investor, very simple strategy. budget out your month and execute monthly into things that you find interesting. That's it. Don't just go and like splooge all the money you have at once. It's the stupidest thing you could do. Wahazoo says, how do I sign up for the newsletter? You can go to arcanebear.com and you will be able to find the links there. The private newsletter is arcanebear.com/private if you would wish to just skip directly to that. $24,000 Bitcoin will panic those new to crypto. Yeah, that's exactly what the big players plan to do, is panic and shake out those final retail traders. That's almost what they always do. What are altcoins going to do? I don't know. Depends what type of technology they do over the next 10 years. Guys, you need to start in decades here if you want to be a good trader and investor. If you're thinking like what's going to happen tomorrow, you're doing the absolute wrong thing. Be patient. Think about decades. Like, you know how many books I read this year? I read 20 books this year. How many books did you read this year? You should really calculate your portfolio off how many books you read this year. That way you know it takes time to get anywhere. I suggest reading Snow Crash because it's like 500 pages. It'll take months. R. Affman says, Arcane Bear, can you describe SOS, please? So SOS stands for Sign of Strength. And an innumerable amount of free content around the Wyckoff trading ranges for free, or you can join our private group. That's what I'll leave it at. It is a deep context. We don't do any videos about it specifically because we do it all in our private webinars for the people who are part of the mastermind group. And as I am also learning and teaching, and everyone else in the group is also going through the same process, we kind of keep it in the internal mastermind for the most part because it's the most rewarding for our community. Otherwise, you can go find everything for free. I like being a pirate too, so you're welcome to do that. What would you consider the market leaders in DeFi? Aave, Band, Polkadot, Avalanche, Wi-Fi, just Uniswap, SushiSwap. It was just off the top of my head. Looking at the 1 hour, we can see a massive, I think we're going to 23 to 19,000 for a reaccumulation. That's the kind of the final of the SOS into the back. It'd be very sexy for all the big players too. One book in 2021. You know, I'm only through one book in 2021 as well. I'm reading Strategy of Conflict right now. I did just finish Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, so I guess it's on to number 2. Snow Crash is great. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books. Definitely read Snow Crash. This Philip Zoller guy obviously knows nothing what he's talking about, so he doesn't even deserve to be here. So there you go. Bye-bye, Philip. Will Band have a max supply? I believe they do, although we'd have to double check on that one. Do you think Tether is manipulating the market? Tether isn't, but look, having a US dollar in this space at all definitely brings more risk to this ecosystem. One of the important parts to recognize is that anytime you bring like a stable coin idea, especially as a currency, it brings inherent risk into the ecosystem. So it's highly possible that, yes, there is more systemic risk in this spot as well. So maybe part of the USDT crashing is where we see another big market cycle change. Should I sell back now and double my potential earnings? Good luck, no name. You would fail that most likely. Most retail traders do everything wrong. You'll wait for it to go. You'll think it's going to go lower than it does, and then you just don't get back in. And then it's just better to accumulate on a monthly or quarterly basis. Have you used Host Defense? Well, I'm a big fan of mushrooms, guys. So for those of you that don't know, let's go over to the table here. I'm an avid collector of mushrooms. So I don't actually buy them. Here you have a giant turkey tail mushroom, and this is an artist conch. These are both polypore. They're some of the most medicinal mushrooms on the planet. So I don't buy Host Defense. I just go out into the jungle and I pick them on my own. What is Snow Crash about? That's for yourself to find out, but it is one of the best books I have read in the last decade. So that's all I can tell you. Or that's all I really want to share with you. Anyways, we're going to leave it at that. Thank you guys all for joining us today. It was a fun episode. Got out there, again, to be patient. Understand that we're in the beginning of a bull market still. The bias is ultimately bullish on the long term. So it's just easier to think about it like that. Thoughts on Bitcoin Cash? I'm not a big fan. The market already picked Bitcoin as its market leader, so who cares about Bcash? will ETH go back up? Can you recommend any other books? Yes, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator is one of the best books you can read as a beginning trader. Also, anything by Nassim Taleb, Skin in the Game, Fooled by Randomness, Black Swan are all amazing books. His total quintet? It's 4 books. I don't know. He wrote 5 books. Forget what you call 5. We'll leave it at that. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us today. Steal with the Arcane Bear. I really appreciate your support and all of your guys' kind words during this bull market. It's been a lot of fun. An outro screen. Remember that the most important things in life you can't buy your health back most of the time, right? Steve Jobs was a great example of that. No matter how hard you work, when it's your time, money won't do anything for you. So be sure to tell your family and friends that you love them, to be grateful for whatever it is that you have. The more grateful you are, the richer a life you'll lead, and generally the more successful you'll become. You'd be extremely surprised by how much wealth has to do with your internal wealth and your ability to be grateful for the people and things that you already have in your life instead of wanting and chasing more, because it is inevitable. And we'll leave that with, I guess, a quote from Seneca, which is that if you live in accordance with nature, you will never be poor. But if you try to live your life in accordance with what others will never be rich. Steal with your Arcane Bear signing off for the rest of the day.